Meryl Streep is 75 years old and looks like she just stepped out of a lunch in Paris. Her neighbor is 62 and looks like she is coming back from a war. The difference? 3 centimeters of hair in the wrong place. Today, you will discover the 7 haircuts that make any woman look younger, and the 5 that age you in 3 seconds, even with the best lipstick and the perfect dress. That haircut the magazine called youthful might actually be aging you faster than confusing Chanel with Shane. And no, it is not about age. It is about knowing what works when gravity starts negotiating with your face. There is a haircut that Jennifer Aniston, at 56, uses to look untouched by time. There is another that even Hollywood actresses avoid, like they avoid plunging necklines at formal events. The question is, are you wearing the first one or the second? If you want to stop walking out of the salon looking pretty for others and start recognizing yourself in the mirror as the elegant woman you truly are, subscribe to the channel now, activate the notification bell, and leave your like. Because elegance does not shout, it whispers. And here, you learn the language. So, what is the haircut that adds a decade without you even noticing? Haircut too short, when practicality becomes betrayal. Short hair is practical, yes. You wash it in 2 minutes, dry it in 3, and leave the house without needing a YouTube tutorial. But if it is too straight, without a single wave or layer to suggest life, you have just created a frame that flattens your face as if someone had rolled a steamroller over your expression. The horizontal line erases all softness, and what was supposed to look modern becomes a feminine version of the Beatles' helmet in 1964. And even Paul McCartney does not wear that anymore. Even worse is the one-line cut, from the nape to the ends, everything the same length, no layers, no inner movement. A solid block of hair that visually drags the face downward, as if gravity needed extra help to do its aging job. Women then run to the salon asking for short bangs, believing they will hide forehead wrinkles. Straight bangs above the eyebrows may look interesting in fashion editorials, but in real life, they act like a neon sign for any facial asymmetry or drooping eyelids. What looks artistic on a 22-year-old model turns harsh at 60+, like those interrogation spotlights in crime movies. Helen Mirren, at 79, never falls into that trap. She knows that less is more, but less wrong is everything. The solution? Movement. Subtle layers that work with gravity instead of against it. Lightness that lifts the gaze, not buries it under a poorly cut curtain. But there is a haircut that does all of this without you needing to explain anything to the hairstylist. The 7 haircuts that work like a facelift without surgery. The layered bob. This is what Diane Keaton has worn for decades to look like she is always returning from brunch in Manhattan. Never rushed, never outdated. The layers create volume on the sides, open up the face like curtains letting light in, and elongate the neck in a way no necklace ever could. It is the difference between a face framed by a window and one behind a wall. Same length, but one rejuvenates while the other fossilizes. Women with fine hair look at this cut and think, it is not for me. But it is actually the opposite. The layered bob was made for hair that needs structure, not weight. Medium length cut with natural waves. This is the anti-helmet. It works because it creates movement where age tends to bring monotony. Fine hair gains texture, lightness, that illusion of just back from the beach. But the Amalfi Beach, not a public pool. The secret? The waves are loose, imperfect, shaped like an S that elongates and softens. Spiral curls can visually shorten the face and add volume where it is not needed, especially around the ears, turning sophistication into confusion. Waves say, effortless. Tight curls scream, I spent 3 hours at the salon. The modern disconnected bob. A classic that never ages because it was redesigned for 2025. The back is shorter, creating volume at the nape, while the front is slightly longer, framing the face without overwhelming it. It is geometry applied to vanity, angles that support your bone structure, not fight against it. Sharon Stone knows this. She did not stick with the same cut out of stubbornness. She found what works and stopped searching. Feminine pixie with long bangs. For those brave enough to go short without looking masculine, the long bangs, and this is crucial, long, not choppy, frame the eyes, soften the forehead, and give that just woke up like this vibe that actually took 15 minutes with a blow dryer. Specifically, it should end between the eyebrow and the lash line. Above the eyebrow looks childish, like your 5-year-old niece cut it. At chin level, it is no longer a pixie. It becomes a messy in-between that no one planned. Women avoid pixie cuts for fear of looking severe, but the issue was never the length. It was the execution. A bad pixie is a helmet. A good pixie is a statement. The V cut with diagonal ends. Perfect for those who want length without looking like they are carrying a curtain. The diagonal ends create downward movement that elongates the silhouette, while the internal layers, invisible but essential, ensure the hair does not feel like a wool blanket in summer. It says, "I have long hair," without shouting, and I am stuck in 1985. Subtle asymmetrical cut. The facelift effect no one notices, but everyone sees. One side slightly shorter than the other creates a diagonal that lifts the eyes, breaks the aging symmetry, and adds personality without looking like you are trying to be a teenager again. It is the hair equivalent of a good tailor. You do not see the seam, but you notice the fit. Face framing layers. The secret trick celebrity stylists charge a fortune to reveal. These layers begin at cheekbone level and cascade in a gradient, softening expression lines, restoring volume where age has taken it away, and adding three-dimensional depth. It is the difference between a lit-up face and a flat one. Between, "she looks fine," and "how does she do it?" But before running to the salon, avoid these 5 haircuts. Like you avoid polyester at a formal dinner. The chin-length straight cut. The hair equivalent of wearing bell-bottoms in 2025. Technically a choice, but not a good one. This horizontal line cuts the face exactly where gravity is already pulling everything down, so you just created an arrow pointing to your jowls, even if you do not have any. The chin naturally starts to lose definition with age, and a straight cut at this height is like placing a spotlight on what you want to hide. Geometry working against you. Horizontal emphasizes width, weight, and that crushed look. Grace Kelly wore it in the 50s because she was in her 20s with Greek statue bone structure. You are not Grace Kelly. And even she abandoned it when she realized it had an expiration date. Very short or heavy bangs. The hair version of yelling, "Look at my forehead," in capital letters. Short bangs cut the face in half, shrink the forehead, and make the eyes look smaller and more tired. Like those filters no one uses because they make everyone look like a badly drawn anime character. Heavy bangs, that thick curtain covering half your face, do not hide anything. They just create a permanent shadow over your eyes, making you look tired all the time, even after 8 hours of sleep and 3 cups of coffee. It is facial lighting sabotaged by haircut choice. But women keep asking for it, hoping to hide wrinkles, and leave the salon looking like they are hiding from life. Long, lifeless straight hair. The worst combination. The effort of maintaining long hair with the visual result of faded wallpaper. No movement, no layers, no texture. Just a flat curtain that drags the gaze down, flattens the face, and makes you look like you have given up but are not ready to admit it. Here is the ultimate test. Shake your head. If the hair does not move, if it sticks and stays in place like a poorly fitted wig, you have a problem. Movement is a sign of life. Stillness is a sign of surrender, or hairspray abuse from the 60s. Overlayered hair. What happens when someone watches a 2005 tutorial and decides texture means controlled destruction? The feathered effect is real. Ends get so thin and uneven they look like frayed fabric. Worse is the mushroom helmet. Too much volume on top and sparse ends below, literally looking like a mushroom. That happens when the hairstylist confuses adding volume with creating a cartoon silhouette. Instead of movement, you get visual chaos. Instead of lightness, it looks like your hair is screaming for help. Poorly distributed layers. The silent disaster. Layers that start in the wrong place, too short on top and too long underneath, creating volume where it should not be and emptiness where you need structure. It is the difference between a planned haircut and a well-intentioned accident. The result? A careless, sloppy look, like someone who stopped trying even if you just left the salon. The goal was never to look younger, because young is not a compliment when it comes with trying too hard. The goal is to look alive, radiant, and confident enough to know that elegance has no age. It has choices. Now, that you know what works and what does not, comes the hardest part, turning that knowledge into a real cut without leaving the salon in regret. You know what you want. You spent 30 minutes on Pinterest, saved 17 photos, rehearsed the speech in the car. but 5 minutes in the salon chair, and suddenly you are saying, "Do whatever you think is best," like you handed the keys to your identity to a well-meaning stranger. 3 weeks later, you are avoiding social events because you do not recognize yourself in the mirror, but the problem did not start with the scissors. It started with a lack of communication. Magazine references are beautiful, yes, but that 23-year-old model with shampoo commercial hair and the bone structure of a Renaissance sculpture will not help you explain what you need. What works is a photo of a woman your age, with your hair texture and your facial structure. Look for someone who makes you think, "I want to look like this." Not, "I want to be her." The difference is subtle but crucial. Catherine Zeta-Jones, at 55, has thick wavy hair. If yours is fine and straight, she is not your reference, she is your fantasy. Here is the trick no one tells you. Saying what you do not want is more important than saying what you want. I do not want volume on the sides above the ears. I do not want bangs that cover my eyebrows. I want the layers to start at cheekbone height, not the top of my head. Specificity saves hair lives. Vagueness creates scissor disasters. And trust a professional who understands proportion, not trends. Because fashion fades, but facial geometry is eternal. The right hairstylist does not ask, "What is trending?" She asks, "What is your routine? Do you use a blow dryer? Is your face more angular or rounded?" The right haircut is born from a good conversation, not from a 3-month-old Vogue catalog that is already outdated. The ideal salon is not the one where you leave unrecognizable. It is the one where you leave looking like the best version of who you already were. The final secret of women with always perfect hair. They do not change their haircut all the time. They make subtle updates. Every 6 months, they ask for a gentle refresh, never a reinvention. That is how the hair ages with the face, without one looking like it is in 2025 and the other in 1985. Because elegance is not about changing everything. It is about maintaining balance when everything changes. To summarize, layered bob opens up the face. Natural waves create lightness. Disconnected bob never ages. Pixie with long bangs frames the gaze. V-cut keeps length without weight. Subtle asymmetry lifts everything. Face-framing layers are pure magic. Avoid chin-length straight cuts, heavy bangs, lifeless long hair, overlayered styles, and poorly distributed layers. The right haircut is not about looking younger. It is about looking like you, but the best version. The one who does not apologize for being 60, 70, or 80 years old. The one who walks into the salon knowing what she wants and walks out recognizing the woman in the mirror. If you made it this far, leave your like now, because elegance recognizes elegance. Subscribe to the channel to keep learning how to be effortlessly sophisticated and incredibly stylish. In the comments, write, "Elegance has structure, not age," if you finally understood that the problem was never your age. It was the wrong haircut. And which of these 7 haircuts fits who you are today? Because spoiler, the answer is not in a magazine, it is in your mirror.